Hello everyone, welcome to Augment Tech. In this session, we will be learning about Python Pandas group by data frames. By the end of this session, you should be able to understand Pandas group by operation, group by method, parameters, written value, split data into groups, view groups, iterating through groups, aggregations, transformations, and filtration. I'm excited to get started and I hope the same from you. Let's get started with Pandas group by operation. So any group by operation involves one of the following operations on the original object. Like we can split the object, apply a function, and then combine the results. We split the data into sets and we apply some functionality on each of the subsets. In the apply functionality, we can perform the following operations like aggregation, where we compute a summary statistic. Then in transformation, we perform some group specific operations, and then in filtration, we can discard the data by specifying some condition. Now let's have a look at what is group by method. So the group by method allows you to group your data and execute functions on these groups. So let's have a look at this and that. So here we have data frame dot transform that takes arguments or parameters like by, axis, level, as index, sort, group keys, observe, drop, NA. Now let's have a look at the parameters. So the axis, level, as index, sort, group keys, observed, drop NA parameters are keyword arguments. So here we have a table that specifies the parameter, value, and the description. So first we have by, which is a required parameter, and it is a label, a list of labels or a function used to specify how to group the data frame. Then we have parameter axis, which could take the values like 0, 1, index, and columns. And the description for it is it's optional and it specifies which axis to make the group by, and the value for it is 0 by default. Then we have parameter level, which could take the value as level or none, which is optional and it specifies if grouping should be done on a certain level and the default value for it is none. Then we have as index, which could take the value true or false, but it is again optional and the default value for it is true, which is set or false if the result should not use the group labels as index. Then we have sort, which could take the value either true or false, optional, and it could take true as the default value, and it is set to false if the result should not sort the group keys. Then we have group keys, to which we can specify the value as either true or false, and it is optional. Default here is true. Set to false if the result should not add the group keys to index. Then we have drop NA, which would take the value true or false, and it is optional. Default is true. It could set to false if the result should include rows or columns where the group key is a null value. Now let's see what is return value. So a data frame group by object where the column or rows are grouped is a return value. Now let's see how to split data into groups. So Pandas object can be split into any of their objects. There are multiple ways to split object like object dot group by, passing key to it, object by group by, passing multiple keys to it, and object dot group by, passing key and along the column specifying axis equals 1. And there we go. So here we first import pandas as PD, and here we have the data frame for IPL having columns like team, rank, year, points, and then we can actually group by team here. And then let's see how to weave the groups. So we can group by one column and also group by multiple columns. So here I can say df.group by team. Here I'm specifying one single column and then dot groups. I can even pass list of columns like df.group by. Inside the square bracket, I can specify multiple column names like team, year, and then dot group wise. Now iterating through groups. So with a group by object in hand, we can iterate through the object similar to itertools.object. And then here we can make use of for loop in order to iterate through the grouped variable or which has been group by year, and then we can print those variables. Now let's see how to select a group. So using the get underscore group method, we can actually select a single group. So here we do df.groupby, specify some column to it, and then we can get the group of some value which is mentioned in the column, and the result would be it will be grouping all those columns in that particular column, all those values in that particular column. So there we go. You see 2014, 2014 in this column year. And now let's see what are aggregations. So an aggregated function returns a single aggregated value for each of the groups. And once the group by object is created, several aggregation operations can be performed on the data which is grouped. So here we say df.groupby, specify a column to it, and then we can actually perform an aggregation on it by specifying .awg and then passing the size parameter to it, like np.size. Now, how to apply multiple aggregation functions at once? So with group series, you can also pass the list or dictionary of functions to do aggregation with and generate the data frame as the output. So here we say df.group by, again pass the column, let's say team, and then we can actually do the aggregation using np.sum, np.mean, np.standard deviation, which would return the sum, mean, and standard deviation. Now let's see what are transformations. So transformation in a group or a column returns an object that is indexed and the same size of that is being grouped. This transform should return a result that is of same size of that of a group chunk. So here we actually group by a column and then we transform by applying certain mathematical functions and using lambda functions. Now let's see what filtration is. So filtration is used to filter the data on some criteria and returns the subset of data. So the filter function is used to filter the data based on the conditions. And here we can say df.groupby, specify the column like team.filter, to which actually we can specify the lambda and the argument list, and then the condition where here it says length of x is greater than or equal to 3. So here filter actually takes a function as the parameter, that is lambda, and then filters based on the condition specified. Now let's hop to Jupyter Notebook and check out the example of Pandas data frame groupby method. I'll see you there. Now here I'm on my Jupyter Notebook, so I'm simply going to create a new notebook here. Go to new, click on Python, and let's rename this notebook as Python Pandas data frame groupby. Click on rename, and here I'm going to write a heading saying Python Pandas data frames groupby method. And then now let me first import pandas as PD, and I'm going to create a data frame here. So here I'm creating a dictionary data. Let's say the column name is company colon. Let's say it takes names of companies like Google, Microsoft, and then Facebook. Comma. Let's say the other column name is person. That takes values like Sam, Charlie, Amy, Vanessa, Call, Sarah. Then another column is for sales. Let's say sales. Values are 200, 120, 340, 124, 243, and 350. So I'm going to convert this to data frame by writing df equals pd dot data frame of data and then pass df. There we go. This is how the data frame looks like. So here we have three columns: company, person, sales. So here what I'm going to do is I'm simply going to group by company by doing df dot group by, mention the name of the company, and there we go. So here we actually get the group by object and it just points to where it is stored inside the memory. Now let me create a variable, let's say by com equal to, let's say I want to group by company and store in this variable by com. So here I do df dot group by company and let me go and check this by com, and you see it still gives me the same output. But what I can do is I can actually go and do by com dot mean, and there we go. You see it actually gives me the mean of the sales column because sales is having numerical values for all the three companies. So it's actually doing 200 plus 120 by 2 for Google, 340 plus 124 by 2 for Microsoft, and 243 plus 350 by 2 for Facebook. If I have to get the sum, so I can do by com dot sum, and there we go. You see this again gives me the sum of those values. So FB is 243 plus 350, then 340 plus 124 is for Microsoft, and 200 plus 120 is for Google. So if I do not want this warning, so it says the default value of numeric underscore only in data frame group by dot mean is depreciated. So I just want to ignore this warning as of now by doing import warnings, and then warnings dot filter warnings and ignore, and let me rerun this, and there we go. Now we cannot see the warnings. What if I have to do by my conf dot, let's get the standard deviation by writing std. There we go. This is the standard deviation. So here we are grouping by the company. That is why it is giving us the output for companies with respect to the numerical column sales, because I'm performing the mathematical or statistical calculations here. Now what if I do something like by comp dot sum, and I want to actually find this on LOC of FP. Let's go and see what happens. So there we go. You see it actually gives me the sales of my FP column, total sales, that is 593. So what I'm doing, I'm actually getting the sales for particular row. Grouping. So this is actually 243 plus 350 for these two rows wherever I have FP. It's actually grouping us and giving the sum for the rows wherever we have the value as FB in company column. So this is actually returning us the sales of FB. Now what happens if I do df dot group by company and then dot sum dot LOC of FP and there we go. This is as good as writing bycom.sum.loc of FB or log of FB. This also returns us the sales of the company FB. Now, if I have to count the number of instances of a particular column, I can do something like df dot groupby, specify the column name to it, and then here I can do count, and then there we go. You see, for each of these companies, we have two cells and two persons. And then if I say df dot groupby, again company, I want to find the max value. So here I do dot max, and there we go. For Facebook, the maximum sales value is 350 for the person Sarah. For Google, it's sales 200 for the person Sam, and for Microsoft, it is 340 for the person Vanessa. Similarly, I can check for minimum. So here I do df dot groupby company dot min, and then here you see we have companies FP, Google, Microsoft, and the sales is minimum sales for Facebook is 243 for person Carl. For Google, it is 120 for person Charlie, and for Microsoft, it is 124 for person Amy. Now, group by can also be used with describe method that gives bunch of useful information all at once. So here I can do df dot group by and then company dot describe. And there we go. You see, this actually returns a bunch of information like sales count, what is the mean, what is the standard deviation, the minimum value 25%, 50%, 75%, and the maximum value for each of these companies. So describe is returning all of this bunch of information all at once. We can also do the transpose of it by doing group by company dot describe dot transpose. So in transpose, it's actually going to change the rows to column and columns to rows. There we go. So you can see now the rows have been changed to columns and the column has been changed to rows, and we get all these values: count, mean, standard deviation, minimum, 25%, 50%, max 75%, and the max value. Now let's try doing this on one particular column. So here I do df dot groupby company dot describe and then dot transpose of FP. There we go. This is how the output looks like. So if you see, the name of column here is FP, and it is returning all this information for only one column, that is FP. It's returning the count, mean, standard deviation, the minimum value, the maximum value, the 25%, 50%, and 75%. Now let's work on another data set. So here I say import pandas as PD. So we will be creating another data frame here. Let's say the IPL data equals, let's say the name of column is team, first column is team. Let's say the values here are riders, devils, and then kings. Let's have king for 4 times. And let's say riders, royals, and then riders, and again, or riders, royals, and riders. Let's create another column by name rank, colon, let's say 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 1, 1, 2, and then 4, 1, 2. So we count the values. So here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 4, 4, 4. Yep. Make sure to have equal number of values. And then we'll have another column by name year. Let's say the values for year are 2014, 2015, and then 2014, 2015, then 2014, and then 2015. Here I say 2016, 2017, and again 2016, and then 2014, 2015, and 2017. And also let's have another column. We need to have a comma here as well. And then let's have another column as points, colon, let's say 876, comma 789, comma 863, 673, 741, 812, 756, 788, 694, 701, then 804, 690. Now let's convert this to a data frame by doing pd dot data frame. Let's say df equals pd dot data frame. Let's pass in IPL underscore data, and then let's check the data frame. There we go. This is how the output looks like. So here we have total of 12 values. If you see, the index starts from 0 and goes up to 11. And then we have the names of teams, the ranks, the year, and the points. Now let me try grouping it by specific column. So here I do df dot group by, and then pass the team column. So here I say team, and there we go. This is actually returning as the group by object. Now if I have to weave the groups, I can do df dot group by team dot groups, and there we go. This is how the output looks like. Now let's see how we can pass multiple columns to weave the group. So here I said df dot group by, and then pass columns like theme and year. Let's separate the name of column by comma, and then I can say dot groups, and there we go. This is how the output looks like. So this is actually returning the team name as well as the year, and it is grouping it. Now let's see how we can iterate. So here I create a variable, let's say group equals df dot group by. Let's have a group by year, and then I'll be making use of for loop. Say for name, comma, group in the variable group, and then I can print name as well as the group. We can print this in one single line as well. So there we go. This is how the output looks like. So it's actually grouping by year. It's doing for 2014, 2015, 2016, and 2017. It's iterating through name and group. So by default, the group by object has the same label name as that of the group name. Now let's see how to select a group. So here I say select a group. So here I do group equals df dot group by, and then let's say year, and then let's say grouped, because we have already done group by on column here and we have saved inside this grouped variable. So here I can say dot get group, to which I can pass the actual year name that I want to group, and there we go. You see, I get the year column with all the values 2014. If I pass 2015 here, you should be seeing I get all the values in my year column as 2015 and the respective teams, ranks, and the points. Now let's have a look at the example of aggregations. So here I'm gonna write a heading saying aggregations. So we will be working on the same data frame. So here I say group equals tf dot group by, let's pass the column year to it, and then let's say I want to use this grouped across the column points, and then dot, I want to get the aggregate, that is np dot sum. So let me get np dot mean first. So this should be giving me an error because we do not have numpy, obviously. So I first have to import numpy as np, and there we go. This is how the output looks like. So here it is aggregating the mean over the points for the year. We can also pass the size parameter to aggregate. So here what I do is group equals df dot group. So this time I'll be grouping the team column, and then here I say group dot aggregate np dot size, and let's check the output. So this actually gives me an error for group. This should be group by, and there we go. This is how the output looks like. So here, if you see it is grouping by the team column, like we have all the team names here, and it is grouping by the size, like rank, year, and points for all this uh, column team. Also, we can apply multiple aggregate functions at once. So for that, what I'll do is I'll say group equals df dot group by. Let's say again I want to group my team, and then I say grouped over points column, and then I can say dot aggregate and then np dot sum, np dot mean, and np dot standard deviation. So if I go and run, maybe I get an error here because we are passing multiple functions, so this should be inside the square bracket. All right, let's go and check now. There we go. This is how the output looks like. So for the team column, it's actually returning the aggregate values for sum, mean, and standard deviation. So this is how you can actually pass in multiple aggregate functions all at once. Now let's have a look at the example for transformations. So I'm gonna write a heading here. This is supposed to be the heading. Let's say transformations. And then let me first say group equals df dot group by. Let's specify the column that I want to group by. So here I say the column team, and this is df and not gf. Now let's create another variable as score equals, and then we will be making use of the lambda function. Let's specify the argument as x colon x minus x dot mean, and this should be inside the parenthesis by x dot standard deviation times 10. Now I'm going to do grouped dot transform of score. Let's check the output. Oh, this gives me an error. Let's check what error it is. It says name as is not defined. Where am I using s, by the way? Okay, yep. This is x dot and not s dot. And there we go. You see the output here is? It's returning x minus x dot mean by x dot standard deviation times 10 as the score. And we're actually using transform and passing the score to it. Now we'll lastly go and see what is filtration. So here I'm going to create a heading and let's name this as filtration. And here I'm going to say df dot group by. Let's specify the column as team dot. Let's write the filter method that takes lambda as the argument. Lambda x colon. We need to specify the condition here. So I'll be specifying the condition inside the expression part of lambda function. So here I say something like length of x is greater than or equal to 3. And there we go. This is how the output looks like. So this filter is actually returning the teams which have participated in the IPL for 3 or more times. Now this was all about the data frame group by method. So here we have seen how to group by the column, specific columns, and then we have seen how to use the describe, the transpose, and we have also seen aggregations, weaving groups, iterating over the groups. We have seen transformations, and lastly, we have seen filtration. So that's all for this session. Hope you enjoyed this session. We'll see you in the next.